Hey everyone, and welcome to this tutorial. Today, I'm excited to walk you through our brand new Governance UI. We have made it easier than ever for bakers to participate in governance on Etherlink. And in this video, we'll cover the entire process step by step, from delegating voting rights to your voting key while keeping your baking key secure, to submitting a proposal, and finally voting on that proposal on Etherlink. And without further ado, let's get started. A voting key is simply an account on the Tezos Layer 1, and you can set it up on any wallet of your choice and change it at any time. I've gone ahead to set up my voting key on Temple Wallet, so I can sign transactions easily on the Etherlink Governance UI. Once you have your voting keys set up, let's look at how to delegate voting rights to that voting key. Now on my screen here, I've got my terminal open, and I've got a command that is going to delegate voting rights to my voting key. So let's go through this command just to understand what it does. So first, I'm using Access Client to do this, and I'm going to be transferring 0TES from my alias. So your alias, typically by default, your alias is set to my baker, but in my example, my alias is actually set to new key. And then you also specify the delegation contract address that you want your voting keys to have access to. Next, you select the entry point that we are calling, which is the proposed voting key entry point. And finally, we pass in the address to delegate voting rights to, which in this example is going to be your voting key. And finally, we pass through in here to delegate voting rights to our voting key. And if I change this to false, this takes away voting rights from my voting key. To get the delegation contract address, first, you need to navigate to the Etherlink Governance UI, which I'm going to do right here. So if I go to governance.etherlink.com, this is going to pop up the governance UI for Etherlink. So while I'm here, I can decide if I want to delegate rights to my voting key, the slow kernel governance, or the fast kernel governance, or the sequencer governance. But in this example, I'm going to go to slow. And right here on this screen, I can see what the latest active slow governance contract is. And I can click on that. And this is going to pop open TZKT for me. You can also do this in Better Call Dev as well, which is another explorer used for the Tezos Layer 1 network. And I can go into storage. Once I go into storage, I can see what the delegation contract address is right here. And I can copy this and replace the variable that I've got here for the delegation contract address. And then lastly, like I mentioned earlier, you simply add your address to delegate, which is your voting key or your Tezos Layer 1 account that you want to delegate voting rights to. I'm going to go ahead to replace this command with actual values. So in this example, I'm doing this on the Ghostnet. My alias is new key, and the delegation contract address is this one that I've specified here. I'm calling the proposed voting key entry point on the contract, and I'm also setting my voting key right here. So my voting key is simply my account on the Tezos Layer 1 Ghostnet. And so with this done, I can simply hit return to run this command. I'm going to get a notification to enter the password for my encrypted keys, which is my baking key. And once I enter that, you can see that the operation has now been injected into the node. So once we run that command and we've got the operation included, we can then navigate to our Explorer UI to make sure that this transaction actually went through. So in my Explorer UI on Better Call Dev, I'm going to navigate to the delegation contract address, and in here I can see that I recently called the proposed voting key entry point. And when I open this up, I can see the source, which is my baking key or my baker. I can see the destination, which is this contract address, and I can click on show details here. When I click on show details here, I can see the address that I am delegating voting rights to. And if I open this up as well, I can also see that address again in here. So now that we've successfully delegated voting rights to our voting key, let's go ahead to claim those voting rights and then use that to submit a proposal. Okay, so once I've gone ahead to give voting rights to my voting key, I can come into the Etherlink Governance UI to claim those voting rights. In this tutorial, I'm going to do this on the Etherlink Ghostnet, and I'm going to click connect here to connect my Temple wallet to the Governance UI. I'm going to click Temple. I'm going to click Use Extension. I'm going to enter my password in here. And I'm going to make sure that I'm connecting the right wallet that has got voting rights. And then I'm going to click Connect. So once I've connected my wallet to the Governance UI, the next thing is to claim voting rights. I'm going to click on my wallet address here. And then I'm going to click Claim Voting Rights. Next, I need to enter my baker's address. And to get my baker's address, I can simply run the command show address. So this is my baker's address here. I can copy this and then I can paste this in here and click claim. Once again, it's going to ask me to sign the transaction. I'm going to click confirm. And as you can see, I've successfully claimed voting rights. I can also see my voting power here as well. And I can see the baker's address that I'm going to be voting on behalf of, which is my baking address here, which is exactly the same as the one that we've got in here. Now that we can delegate voting rights to our voting key, and we can also claim those voting rights, let's go ahead to submit a proposal on Etherlink. I'm going to click Submit Proposal here. And then I'm going to enter a proposal hash. I'm going to go ahead to click submit, and I'm going to enter my password for Temple to sign this transaction. Click confirm, and once we've done that, this should automatically submit our proposal. Now remember that when you use the governance UI, once you submit a proposal, you automatically upvote that proposal. Now if you wanted to upvote a proposal submitted by another baker, you could simply click into the period, and you see the upvote button in here. You can click the upvote button to upvote this proposal. Once the proposal you have submitted reaches quorum, in other words, bakers have upvoted your proposal, it then goes on to the promotion stage. Now in the promotion stage, you as well as other bakers will be able to vote on the proposal. So if I click in here, I can see that this proposal was submitted in period 802 and it's now in the promotion period. So I can go ahead to click vote, and I can select yay, nay, or pass, depending on how I feel about this proposal. So I'm going to go ahead to click here. I'm going to click submit vote. Once again, it's going to prompt me to sign this transaction. I'm going to sign it by clicking confirm. And once I do that, I can see the notification successfully voted on yay. And once that is done, we'll simply wait for the proposal to reach supermajority and to achieve quorum for it to move to the next phase. We've built this new governance UI for Etherlink to make participating in governance on Etherlink as straightforward as possible. To learn more about governance on Etherlink, specifically the voting periods and quorum requirements, you can check out the official documentation at governance.etherlink.com.